Now, what do these hormones do? Well, once they reach their target cell, that kind of depends on the hormone. Some of them will bind to receptors on the surface of the target cell, and some of them are actually able to pass through the cell membrane and bind to internal receptors. And those typically are involved in changing things like gene transcription, so turning genes on and off, which can actually change what's going on in your body. And it can be something as simple as upregulating an enzyme. Now, what determines whether a hormone passes through the membrane or whether it has to bind to a surface receptor for that hormone? Well, this comes down to the molecular structure of the hormone. Remember that cell membranes have a hydrophilic head, meaning water-loving, and they have hydrophobic tails. And what this means is that if a hormone is going to be able to travel through this sort of double stuffed Oreo here of hydrophobic tails, it's going to have to be a hydrophobic hormone. So the hydrophilic hormones are water-loving. They have a really easy time moving around within the fluid in your body, which is mostly water. And the sad thing is they can't go through the cell membrane. Hydrophobic hormones, on the other hand, have a really hard time moving through the fluid in your blood. And so for these guys to move around your blood, they actually need to be bound to something that's called a carrier. And the carriers will sort of shuttle them around and get them close to the cells that they would interact with and drop them off. And once the carrier drops off the hormone, that hydrophobic hormone can travel inside of the cell, and on the other side of the cell there will be or other side of the membrane, there will be a receptor waiting for that specific hormone. So how do these hormones know when to get off the carrier train? Well, this is related to something called the law of mass action, or Le Chatelier's principle. And what this is that you've got um, carrier proteins and you've got hormones. And these are able to reversibly, that's what the double arrows mean, bind into a carrier hormone complex. And it turns out that at the cells that make the hormone, you are going to have a lot of hormone that's unbound. And what that means is that it's going to push the reaction to the bound state. And when you get finally to the area where any possibly present unbound hormone is getting sucked up and everybody's in this carrier hormone state, it's going to push it to the unbound state, and then the hormones are going to be able to actually cross out of the bloodstream.